When I hit menopause, my deodorant stopped working. I tried everything. Nothing was working. And I was hoping it was only me that was noticing it. But then my kids were going, Mom, that's when I knew I needed to do something about it. I learned how to make this deodorant that's cheap and it's easy to make. And if you don't want your kids going, Mom, to you, you need to learn how to make this too.
All I have needs I have not provided.
This recipe is so cheap, I can't believe it. And it really, really does work. This is the last recipe that I made. There's a little bit left in there. I made it about 9 months ago. I'm going to tell you now, just in case I forget to tell you at the end. When you use this, you break off a little piece, that big, for each arm. That's all you need. That's why it lasts so long. You just need a little bit. Now, your initial investment might be a little bit costly. I don't normally have arrowroot around, so you are going to need some arrowroot powder, coconut oil. This is baking soda. This is tea tree oil and shea butter. This shea butter is really, really nice, so I ended up using it for more than just deodorant. So you're going to need something to put it in when you're done. And I like to line my cup with a paper cup. I don't know, it's just easier to get out so that when you get down to the bottom, you're not constantly digging it out of the bottom of a glass. You're being able to pick it out of the paper. It's your preference. So we have the coconut oil and the shea butter to melt together. But I like to mix the dry ingredients together first. So let's do that. So this is my original recipe. And you can see here, I make notes when I do things like this. I started in 2018. And once I tweaked it, this is what I ended up with. And you can see, perfect. One custard cup, cupcake cup, lasted 9 months. And that is typical of how long it will last. Now this particular ratio is because I live in Florida and the atmosphere is constantly humid. If you live in a drier environment, this is the original, and you may have to tweak it to fit your environment. If I mix mine according to this ratio, it's kind of soupy, and so I would rather it not be soupy. It will still work, but I like it to set up. And this is what I've come up with if you live in a humid area. So let's measure 1/4 cup plus 1 tablespoon of baking soda. And be sure that it's baking soda. So 1/4 cup. A little bit more here. Let's see. Not quite enough. A 1/4 cup plus a tablespoonful. A 1/4 cup plus a tablespoon of arrowroot powder. And give that a quick stir here. And this is where you're going to add the tea tree oil. So the original recipe has you counting all the drops. I like to just use a 1/4 teaspoonful. I'm going to pop that off of there. Let's make sure. It doesn't take a lot, just a 1/4 teaspoon. There we go. I'm going to sprinkle that around in there. And I want it to get all of it, so I'm just going to wipe it off my spoon like that. Mix it up. Tea tree oil is essential. You see, tea tree oil kills bacteria, and bacteria is what's making you stink. So you've got to add tea tree oil to your recipe. Okay, that's ready. Now we're going to melt the shea butter and the coconut oil together. And they are 1.5 tablespoons of each. Now I want this to be exact as I can. Otherwise, if I put too much shea butter and coconut oil in it, it will be too soupy. So that's going to go down in the bottom of your glass, and be sure that you're doing this over water. So I've turned on this little pot of water on high, and you'll see it's going to be, there'll be enough heat here to melt that. So that is 1 tablespoon, and I want another half. Okay, 1.5 tablespoons of shea butter. Now, I do use this shea butter for other purposes. I've also acquired dry skin as I've aged, and it's great. You only need a little bit, and a little bit goes a long ways. So, now I'm adding the smell good stuff. This is coconut oil, 1.5 tablespoons of that. I'm trying to get that as accurate as I can. Okay, that's ready. So you're going to just stir it up until it's completely mixed. Now it is a nice wintry dry day here. The humidity is low here for Florida today. Tomorrow it probably won't be. Normally when I mix this up, it's kind of liquidy, but it's okay like this. I'm not going to add any more liquid to that. You see, the more I mess with it, the more solid it gets. So press it right down into your mold. Now normally for me, I'm pouring this down in there, and it takes about a day to set up. Just depends on the humidity that day. But now this is a little bit soft, and it will take about 24 hours to get more solid. It's almost like the consistency of Play-Doh. Now remember, it only takes a tiny bit. Here, there's a good example of how much you need for each arm. Those ratios work really well for me. If I go more baking soda, it's irritating to my skin. But this combination is perfect. Wasn't that easy? I'm not going to have to make that again for 9 months. If you need any of those ingredients, I'm going to leave a link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and may you always be able to ride in the same car as your kids.
Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.